Hey everybody, Tony D with a hot take on the future of Antifa. I'm here on the FBI's page, and these are some of their most wanted. Um, this is the future you have to look forward to if you go hardcore into Antifa. This is Joanne Chesimard. She's wanted for acts of terrorism, domestic terrorism, unlawful flight to avoid confinement, and murder. She's wanted for escaping a prison in Clinton, New Jersey, serving a life sentence for murder on May 2nd, 1973. Chesimard, who was part of a revolutionary extremist organization known as the Black Liberation Army, and two accomplices were stopped for a motor vehicle violation in New Jersey Turnpike by two troopers with the New Jersey State Police. At the time, Chesimard was wanted for her involvement in several felonies, including bank robbery. Chesimard and her accomplices opened fire on the troopers. One trooper was wounded, and the other was shot and killed execution style at point blank range. Chesimard fled the scene but was subsequently apprehended. One of her accomplices was killed in the shootout, and the other, also apprehended, remains in jail. In 1977, she was found guilty of first-degree murder, assault and battery of police officer, assault with a dangerous weapon, assault with intent to kill, illegal possession of a weapon, and armed robbery. She was sentenced to a life in prison. On November 2nd, 1979, Chesimard escaped from prison and lived underground before being located in Cuba in 1984. She is thought to currently still be in Cuba. So, that's one option. You could end up living in Cuba, but still wanted. These are the most wanted terrorists. Now you can see a lot of them appear to have Middle Eastern names, and this is left over from the 2000s, early 2000s, and but you see the top most wanted fugitives. A lot of them are not. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, a lot of these guys have done stuff. Here's a domestic terrorist, or someone who's accused of domestic terrorism. Catherine Marine Kirkow. She's wanted for alleged involvement in the hijacking of Western Airlines Flight 701, which was to fly from Los Angeles to Seattle, Washington on June 3rd, 1972. A member of the Black Panthers, Kirkow, and an accomplice claimed that they had a bomb in an attaché case and demanded $500,000 after allowing the 97 passengers to get off the plane. This was back before they locked down the airports. So she's pretty old. She's in her 60s, I think. So she's still roaming around, still on the run all these years. Here we go, domestic terrorism. Josephine Sunshine Overacre. In January 19, 2006, a federal grand jury in Eugene, Oregon, indicted Josephine Sunshine Overacre on multiple charges related to her alleged role in a domestic terrorism cell. Overacre was charged in 2 conspiracy violations related to 17 incidents, 5 counts of arson, 1 count of attempted arson, 1 count of destruction of an energy facility. These crimes occurred in Oregon, Washington, California, Colorado, and Wyoming, and date back to 1996. Many of the crimes she's accused of participating in were claimed to be committed by the Earth Liberation Front or the Animal Liberation Front. So this is probably a person who's very similar to a lot of the Antifa people. And she's younger. She is wanted. She's going to be on the run her entire life. And when they catch her, if they catch her, she's going to be in prison for probably the rest. So you could see in her eyes, I think, for her, you can see a lot of anger there. And these are all, so far, these are mostly women. I mean, there's a lot of women here. Elizabeth Anna Duke. Alleged involvement in a series of criminal activities during the 1970s and early 80s. She was allegedly a member of the radical group known as the May 19th Communist Organization, which advocated communism and the violent overthrow of the United States government. Sound familiar? Duke was arrested in Bucks County, Pennsylvania in May of 1985 for alleged participation in this group, but was released on bail. She later fled this jurisdiction and has been a fugitive since October of 1985. Federal arrest warrant was issued for Duke in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania on November 13th, 1986, charging her with the aforementioned federal charges. Should be considered armed and dangerous and an escape risk. So there's a fellow communist for the Antifa people. It just goes on and on. Sherry Laverne Dalton, another one who escaped to Cuba, the Cuba area, wanted for her alleged involvement in the Brinks armored car robbery, which occurred in October 21st, 1981. Like I said, Antifa hasn't started robbing banks yet, but they will. They will. They will move on to that. When their money's cut, they will finally get the idea, hey, we'll just start robbing banks. Donna Joanne Barup is wanted for the alleged participation in a violent anti-apartheid demonstration at JFK International Airport in Queens, New York on September 26, 1981. During the riot, Barup allegedly tossed a caustic substance into the eyes of a Port Authority police officer, leaving him partially blind. Jesus. At the time, she was a member of the May 19th Communist Organization, a Marxist-Leninist organization which advocated armed revolution and violent overthrow of the United States government. This was all about apartheid in South Africa, and they want to throw over America. I mean, it's so senseless. Armed and dangerous. And she's been on the run since 85. 85, and there's $100,000 reward for her. I mean, geez, 85. That is 35 years. Imagine having to hide yourself for that long. And if they ever catch her, she's going to jail. Going to jail as a much older woman, 35 years older. Probably has a completely different life now. Let's see. I think that was mostly it for the communists, but I don't remember. This is another hijacker, airline hijacker, Ambrose Henry Montfort. You don't do hijack anymore. Airplane hijacking, that's so 1970s. Let's see, this guy, what was he? Leo Frederick Burt, wanted for allegedly participating in the bombing of Sterling Hall on the campus of the University of Wisconsin. Oh yeah, I was going to say, he kind of looks like a college student. On August 24th, 1970. 50 years ago. They're still looking for him. The blast from the explosion combined with the fire resulted in the death of a 33-year-old researcher. Additionally, there were several injuries reported and an estimated $6 million of damage to the building. See, like murder, they never let that go. They'll always be looking for you. Always. You could go to jail at any time. There was a body found in a pawn shop that was burned down in Minneapolis. Man, you're connected to that. That's where you'll be. You'll be this guy. You'll be hiding out for 50 years. He's not even the same person. Not even the same person. But if they catch him, right to jail he goes. He'll be dragged back to Wisconsin, Whatever life he rebuilt elsewhere will be over. He'll have to spend what money he has to defend himself, and you know, it's doesn't look good when you run away. I mean, granted, it's been 50 years later. You could mount a good defense, I suppose, but you know, when they dig up these cold cases and they find you, you know, usually when they find you, that means they have something. Um, and you know, it's getting harder and harder to hide. You know, back in the 70s, they still had paper driver's license. You know how easy it was to fake a driver's license in the 70s? To fake ID? Now, you got to be in the computer. If you're not in the computer, forget it. Uh, you know, you're going to have to bribe a lot more people. So, this is the future you had to look forward to, being on the run. And, you know, you're never going to be able to connect with your families and friends because one phone call could give you away. And, you know, I guess you'll just be waiting for the revolution. That's never going to happen. And it's a shame. It's a shame. People like this, they don't see the future. They don't see 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road. And they eventually will find you. Now, let's see. I think they caught somebody. They catch one of these guys? Eventually they catch you. Yeah, here's one. Santiago. Oh, it won't let me see his crimes. Oh wait, here it is. Santiago, wow. Villa Alba Meandros. Looks like he was involved in several crimes committed in Tacoma, Washington in 2010. Allegedly fired multiple shots into a random car, killing a 20-year-old girl, seriously wounding another. During a fight in March, he allegedly fired a single gunshot toward bystanders, striking and killing another 21-year-old male victim. Jeez. He's in trouble. He's in trouble. But they caught him. Santiago. Yeah, that's a guy. They caught him. So, and that was 2010. So, you know, a lot of these Antifa guys are getting let off. And, you know, they think, oh, well, maybe I'll run. Maybe I'll just hide out. I've got all these networks. I've got all these people on the internet who support me. They bailed me out. That's all coming to an end. That's all being funded by BLM. I know it sounds conspiratorial, but it's true. George Soros through intermediaries, I believe. BLM, I believe. These are just my opinions. You know, through people just donating because they think they're donating to a good cause, but really they're just virtue signaling to a bunch of woke idiots who run around smashing things up. I mean, this is peak Trump derangement syndrome, and they won't be around after Trump's reelected. You know, this will all be over. They'll be on to the next thing because that's the masses. You know, they kind of follow the herd. So you're gonna end up, a lot of you in Antifa, you're gonna end up these guys if you don't get caught immediately.